The girl hooked the fishing line with her finger, then opened the bail. After making sure no one was behind her, she raised the fishing rod over her head and swung it hard, sending the artificial lure flying into the distance. Once it dropped into the water, she closed the bail and steadily reeled in the line, making the lure swim through the water like a real fish to attract predatory fish to bite. This is the legendary lure fishing. Now it was Jack's turn to try for the first time. Although he didn't miss a single step, his first cast only went a short distance. Everyone encouraged him not to be discouraged, since they had all started the same way. But right after they said that, they noticed Jack's second cast was remarkably accurate. Even Jack himself hadn't expected to have such a natural talent for fishing. And what was even more surprising was that this cast ultimately helped him completely break free from his former wasted life. It turned that not long ago, Jack was suddenly diagnosed with cancer and given only 2 years left to live. On top of that, he was already buried in various debts, so he simply gave up altogether, killing time by hiding in an arcade playing pinball. However, that day, his creditors finally tracked him down. To avoid a beating, he quickly made up an excuse and slipped away from the side. But this incident made him start reflecting. Why had he ended up like this? He had only borrowed a little money at first. Who knew the debt would keep growing and growing until now he couldn't possibly pay it back? Then, thinking again about his illness, a bold idea suddenly occurred to him. Why not borrow even more money and live comfortably for these 2 years? After that, once he died, everything would simply be over. But just then, those creditors caught up to him again. Jack tried to keep running, but they quickly grabbed his clothes. With no other choice, he climbed onto a nearby railing, only to slip and fall into the water. And he didn't know how to swim. He struggled frantically in the water until he finally lost all strength. Just when he thought he was going to die, something was suddenly thrown toward him. When he opened his eyes again, he had been pulled to safety. Finding himself still alive, he couldn't help but feel somewhat disappointed. The first thing he did after getting up wasn't to thank his rescuer, but to try to go home immediately. Jimmy, however, said that would be a bit difficult, because they were currently on a boat. A true paradise for anglers. Seeing Jack so dejected, Jimmy quickly apologized and said he would take Jack back as soon as they finished fishing. But when Jack heard fishing, his first thought was that this was something only older men enjoyed. Yet these young people were completely into it. And from the time he woke up until now, they hadn't caught a single fish. He didn't understand what was so interesting about fishing like this. However, when he turned his head, he was immediately drawn to Mary in the distance.